Welcome back to the Al Franken Show, Hour 2. I'm Al Franken. With me, of course,
I'm Catherine Lanford. Richard Dawkins is the professor for public understanding of science at Oxford.
Oxford.
Yes.
Yes.
He's the author of several books on evolution, including The Selfish Gene and The Ancestor's Tale, A Pilgrimage to the Dawn of Evolution.
Selfish Gene, I think, is about my wife's family.
Isn't that funny?
No.
I was going to come up with something else. He's here in the United States to participate in the New Yorker Festival, and he joins us by phone this afternoon from Colorado Springs, Colorado. Welcome to the show, Professor Dawkins.
Thank you very much.
It's great to have you. I've been doing reading a number of your articles and such. Let me ask you a question that might throw you off a little bit. Isn't evolution just a theory?
It's just a theory in a philosophical sense of a special philosophical sense of science, but in terms of ordinary layman's use of language, it's a fact. Evolution is a fact in the same sense as it's a fact that the Earth is round and not flat, the Earth goes round the Sun. In the technical philosophical sense, both those are also theories, but they're theories that have never been disproved and never will be disproved. They are facts in the colloquial sense that this table in front of me is made of wood.
Isn't it just isn't gravity just a theory?
In that sense, it is just a theory. And evolution is just a theory in that sense, which means that it is a fact. It is a fact that you and I are cousins of monkeys and chimpanzees and kangaroos and duck-billed platypuses and bacteria. That's a fact.
Cousins. Now, we're really distant cousins to bacteria.
We're really very, very distant cousins to bacteria. Our common ancestor with bacteria lived some billions of years ago, but our common ancestor with chimpanzees lived only about 5 or 6 million years ago.
Now let's talk about the cousinship of because we evolved we didn't evolve from the apes that exist today. We evolved from some other ape.
We and modern apes evolved from a now extinct ape, and so we and chimpanzees have had just the same time to evolve since our common ancestor about 5 or 6 million years ago.
And they evolved cuter.
Well, we don't know because we don't know what the ancestor looked like. We only know what...
No, they evolved cuter than we did.
Well, that's a matter of opinion.
Okay.
I think I rather agree with that, yes.
Yeah, okay. Intelligent design, just bunk?
Yes, it's a political trick to disguise the fact that it is ordinary old-fashioned creationism to get under the radar of the United States constitutional separation of church and state. You're not allowed to teach religion in science class, so they had to rebrand creationism, and they called it intelligent design.
I was surprised to read that it's getting a toehold in Britain now as well.
Well, not much of a toehold. It is true that there are one or two very rich, ignorant people who are sponsoring schools in Britain. It's certainly true that we do in Britain have ignorant fools. The difference is that in Britain they don't get political power.
What sort of discussion or conversation are we missing out on by...
I'm sorry.
I know that when you have the debate about intelligent design versus evolution, what sort of debates does that stop us from having that maybe we should be having?
Right. I mean, that's a debate about religious worldviews. It's not a debate about science. Within science, there are indeed very fruitful debates, and within evolutionary science, there are very fruitful debates. For example, the debate over whether evolution goes always gradually or whether it sometimes goes in jumps. I mean, that's a fruitful debate which scientists have been engaged in for a couple of decades now, and that's the kind of thing that a professor of biology would want to teach students, to look at both sides of the question, to evaluate all...
both sides.
Both sides.
You see, this is what you hear in this country from remember those idiots in power? That's what you hear from them, because they'll go like, let's study both sides. Let's study the way people have babies that the scientists talk about, and let's study the stork way.
Exactly. Well, you've hit the nail on the head there. Where there genuinely are two theories, then of course it's educationally very valuable to study both sides, and really study both sides. Look at it critically, look at all the evidence, look at what supports one, what supports the other. In the case of intelligent design, there is no controversy. There are not two sides. This is not a scientific theory at all. The nearest approach it makes to being science is it says, look, we found a difficulty in evolution. We found a little problem that evolution hasn't yet solved. Therefore, God must have done it. You see the extraordinarily distorted logic that amounts to. We have two theories, they say, theory A and theory B, evolution and creationism or intelligent design. Theory A has a little difficulty. Therefore, theory B must be right.
Well, in other words, they point to any gaps or controversies within evolution to say, see, we've disproved it, exactly. Therefore ours must be true, even though we can't prove a thing about it.
And they never even ask whether exactly the same difficulty that evolution has, according to them, been shown to show, whether intelligent design has exactly the same difficulty.
Like the same difficulty being, for example, that how could this intelligent designer make something that's too complicated to design?
Exactly. I mean, if, for example, something really were too complicated to evolve, then it's even more too complicated to design because the designer would have to be even more complicated.
Well, yeah, but he's God. So or she, or
call
whatever.
That an argument?
Huh?
That just assumes what you're setting out to prove, that you start off with something complicated.
Yes, I understand that, and here's my thing: is if there is a God behind this intelligent design, who designed God?
Exactly. I mean, that's the one thing, of course, that they cannot answer, and that's a sort of colloquial way of putting the point that what Darwinian evolution is all about is explaining how you get complex, the illusion of design, complex statistical improbability from primeval simplicity. Simplicity is easy to understand, complexity is hard to understand. Darwinian natural selection, which is not a theory of chance, is the only theory that's ever been suggested that can explain how you can start with simplicity and work up to complexity.
So
start with complexity, that's God. You've explained absolutely nothing, as you rightly say, who created God.
So when you're starting with simplicity and it gets more and more complicated, but you're saying it's not random, that what does that mean? I mean, you're saying...
Very much not random. Natural selection is the non-random survival of those genetic codes which are good at programming the development of living things. If you think about it this way, all of us who are alive are descended from an unbroken line of successful ancestors who've been successful in whatever their way of life was, whether it was carnivores or herbivores or flying or swimming or I mean, our ancestors were once fish, and so our ancestors at that time must have been pretty good at swimming. So the genes for being good at swimming got passed on to generations in a non-random way.